All right. And water. Left it. Onion. All right. Try to get through this. All right. Let's see what we're talking about here. Let's do. All right. This is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. I got to apologize ahead of time. These old ornate trees you got down here, they keep throwing around that pollen everywhere, and everybody's sick around here or having allergic reactions like myself. Don't have my handy allergy pills to show you right now, but get you some of those Equate allergy pills, man. It'll knock it right out. Loratadine, 10 milligram, 10 milligram or 10 whatever it is, knock your little problems that you have right out of the window. Don't have a whole lot to talk about today, but I noticed around college basketball, some key things are occurring. Last night, Wisconsin knocked off Illinois. But Illinois, he's got a raging illness that's just devastating the team. And they kind of in a position where they don't know who they're going to start from one player to the next. So they're going to have to fight through that because they're in a tough part of their schedule. Not only are they dealing with a tough Big Ten, and they just lost Michigan State the other day, but they got Duke this Saturday in New York. I'm not quite sure what format they have, but I know that they're going to play Duke in Madison Square Garden, and I'm not sure if any other teams are going to be there. But he's got a problem with illness. I can kind of relate a little bit because I got a problem with player talent. I don't have a whole lot of talent on my team, and then I don't know who I'm going to play from one game to the next because there's always some kind of issue taking place with the players. It's similar to what Illinois is going through because he doesn't know who he's going to start, who's going to be available. All the backups that would normally start in place of the starters, they're sick also. So he's got a mad squad there, but they're fighting through it and they're trying to survive, and they should be able to get through this once the illness passes to get through the NCAA tournament. But right now, it looks like Duke is one of the top teams out there, and they're going to get Illinois on Saturday. I bring up Duke because I actually had a chance to see them play Virginia the other day. And it's kind of a good contrast there because right before the end of the half, Duke, one of their star players, he got hurt. He dislocated his shoulder. And the problem with that is this is the time of the year where you can't afford to have major injuries. And this particular guy, I think his name Malik Brown, dislocated his shoulder. I don't know how long they're going to keep him out of action, but he can't play, I know, at least for 2 weeks while that thing heals up. But the good thing about them, he's not counted on to do a whole lot of scoring, and that might be the difference. And I say it compares to Virginia because if you know Virginia a couple years ago, they were ranked number one all year. But when they got to the tournament, just before the tournament, one of their best players got hurt, and they never recovered from that, and they got knocked off in the first round, became one of the few teams in NCAA tournament history to get beat by a number 16. I don't know if um, I don't think Duke is going to be in that same position because this guy Brown is not the one that they're depending on the most for doing all the scoring. But it's just an interesting contrast that Duke could possibly be in the same position that Virginia was when they lost one of their star players at the wrong time. All right, JC says good morning. Walt Butler says good morning. Haven't seen either one of the guys in a while, but appreciate you stopping back in. And the good thing about Duke, that guy Cooper Flagg, he can play. Like I said, I seen him play against Virginia the other day, and he's going straight to the hole. And he looks like an NBA player to me, the way he slashes to the basket. And one thing I like about him, he get his mind made up to dunk. He trying to sky over a dude. And that's what he tried to do one time. And the dude got the block on him. But the look on his face told everybody, look here, you got me this time, but next time I'm dunking on you because you got a piece this time. I got to get back at you. And that's the way that guy plays. And because of his play, I think that losing Malik Brown, even if he never comes back, Duke will be able to overcome that loss because of this guy, Cooper Flagg. Now, if he got lost, that'd be a different story. Walt says he's a Tennessee fan. You talking about the Titans, or are you talking about the Volunteers? I believe you're talking about the Volunteers. They play a decent basketball right now, but right now Auburn is the class of the SEC, and they've done pretty well in the last few years getting to the championship. Matter of fact, when Virginia won the championship, that's who they beat, Auburn. So, they're going to be trying to get back on that stage and try to finish what they didn't finish the first time. They got a good team. They got by Alabama a couple of days ago. They're going to have to see Alabama again, maybe twice. So it's going to get pretty exciting as we wind up these last couple of weeks heading into the NCAA tournament. February seems to go by so fast. We're already on the 19th day, and about this time in mid-March, the NCAA tournament will have started. So what these teams are doing now are jockeying for that final position to get themselves ready to make that run. And I see Walt says he's a Volunteer fan. I think Tennessee will be in the mix. They should be able to get into the tournament. A pretty decent team. But I don't know if he can get past Auburn or Alabama. That's going to be a tall order for the Volunteers. Now, speaking of the Volunteers, switching gears a little bit because we got time to talk about basketball, do that since they play so many games. Rodney Harrison, he's going to make it to the Hall of Fame one day. He said that Hendon Hooker, the Volunteer quarterback, from a couple years ago, he thinks that he should be the next quarterback for the Jets. Everybody's talking about Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, but Harrison said this guy here, the same kind of player, and he's already got experience in the league. Now, he got hurt at the end of his Tennessee career, and that might have knocked him off that Heisman run, but he's recovered from that, and he's slowly gotten himself in position to get on the field during mop-up time. So the Jets are interested because they picked up Aaron Glenn to be their next coach. And he was a defensive coordinator in Detroit with Hooker. So he has some kind of understanding about Hooker and what he might be able to do to help him. So I thought that was a pretty decent idea because you never know what these guys coming out of college are going to do. Jaden Daniels proved that if you're going to get a rookie quarterback and expect him to contribute right away, you need to come in with the same type of offense that they ran in college. And if you could translate that and run the same type of system, then your quarterback will have a quicker route to success. And with that blueprint, along with what Jalen Hurts did to show that a running quarterback can lead a team to a championship, I think that opens the doors for a lot of people. And because of that, Hooker's got a real good chance to prove himself outside of Detroit. Now, Ward, I think Ward's going to be the next best pickup. And Sanders, he's a pure passer, but he don't seem to be able to escape a whole lot. And because of that, I expect Ward to come off the board first. But keep an eye on Jackson Dart. he rose up the boards during the Senior Bowl week, and he might find himself getting drafted in the later part of the first round, maybe early second. But if he goes at the end of the first round, then you can expect him to end up with a pretty decent team, and he can sit there and learn and get the speed of the game. Ward, anybody else that goes early, not so much. But that doesn't mean you can't win because you have a lot of teams. They're not that far apart. Whether you are 14-3 or 3-14, not a whole lot of difference. Especially when you can mix and match during the free agency, and if you hit the jackpot on the draft, you can come up real quick. All right, Walt says the SEC right now seems to be one of the best conferences. Yeah, it's a tough conference, but ACC is also right there. And Hooker's got good talent. His knee got hurt versus the game costing 22. I remember that game. But the problem I got with Hooker is kind of what you see Tennessee doing now. They'll play great 1 week, and then 2-3 weeks they'll struggle, and then they come back and explode again then. But the problem with that is the really good teams, they can't seem to get untracked. That was Hooker's problem. He didn't play so great against Georgia those last 2 games. And he had people open. He just didn't hit them. And that's not a good thing when you're supposed to be a pro quarterback. The windows in the pros are much smaller than they are in college. And if you can't hit those wide open receivers in college, I don't know how the hell you expect to hit them in the pros. So the thing that helps him out, he can escape. But he's got to get over that hump, the big game hump. That's Hooker's problem. And I saw a report on the Detroit quarterback situation last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, and they talked about Hooker sliding down the depth chart with Teddy Bridgewater coming back in. He got on the field before Hooker did, and he didn't play the whole season. Now, granted, Bridgewater was with the team the year before, so still pretty much knew the offense, but that doesn't look good for a guy that's been sitting there all year. You pick up a guy off the street, and he comes in and he jumps ahead of you. That's not a good thing. But Hooker, he needs to pick that development up if he expects to get an opportunity. But let's just say he does get traded to the Jets or the Giants, and he makes his way onto the field, then he has an opportunity to make a big payday for himself. So I don't know. But that's down the line. It'd be interesting to see how this free agency works when it all opens up in about 2 weeks. And they're already jockeying for positions and about what people are going to do. But once the free agency opens those first 2 weeks, you'll have an idea about what your team is going to do. And I'm looking at Pittsburgh, what are you going to do with these 2 quarterbacks they got? I think it would be wise to re-sign Justin Fields and let Russell Wilson go on back over there with Pete Carroll with the Raiders. But they're talking now that Fields could also be a candidate for the Jets or the Giants. I don't see it happening. I think he says he wants to be in Pittsburgh. And if Pittsburgh is going to make some changes like they said they're going to make changes, Justin Fields would be a good option there because he's a running quarterback. He didn't play bad last year, just everybody had their hopes on Wilson. And he did all right for the most part, but once teams caught on to what Pittsburgh was trying to do with Wilson, it slowed down a whole lot. And once you start turning the ball over, you're dead. And that's what happened to Pittsburgh. Dallas needs a running game. Yeah, they said they want a running game, but the problem is, can Kellen Moore keep that locker room together? And once things start turning sour, it's going to be tough on him because they already know him, and he can't just get tough on players he's been knowing for a long time. I think it might have been best for the Cowboys to go outside the locker room to get their next coach, but they didn't think so. So we'll see how that turns out. JC says the Lions didn't like the way he read the defense. That's why they picked up Bridgewater out of retirement. Well, it's all part of your development. You got to read the defense if you're going to be a quarterback. But the thing with a running quarterback, and I was a running quarterback myself years ago in high school, but we ran the wishbone. So it was obvious when we had to throw, it's not what we wanted to do. If I didn't see somebody open right away, I took off. And quarterback in the wishbone is really just a running back. So I get 10, 12 yards scrambling. And it's the same kind of thing that they're doing now with these college and pro offenses. Quarterback take off, nothing's there. Right away, take off. Then you can get 10, 15 yards, and that's just as good as a running game. It's effective, but it runs out as you get closer to the end zone. So I don't care how well you can run. At some point, you got to stand in there and throw the football, and that's when reading the defenses. That's a key. Unless you got a coach that he's got a check with me system where if this play, if you don't see what it looks like right now, check to the second play. Then that will help you out a whole lot. Take the pressure off, which goes back to Jackson Dart. They say that's the kind of system he had in the Ole Miss. And because he ran that quarterback-friendly system, it's going to hurt him in the pros. I don't think so. And I think that if he gets with the right team, Jackson Dart can be effective right away because he's got the arm that can beat you. So it's going to be interesting to see just how Mr. Dart gets drafted and see what he does from that point forward. But again, this is all pure speculation. We won't know until you get these players in the camp. Hold on a second. Somebody's knocking on my door. But yeah, I didn't have a whole lot to talk about today. It's kind of slow in the sports world. But I did see that Kansas got cracked on the head last night. They got beat by BYU, who was unranked. As you know, Kansas was ranked preseason number 1. I saw them play a few times, pretty decent team. But lately, they not playing good ball. And this is the first time that they got beat by 30-plus points by unranked teams since they've been doing the polls since 1948, 49. So that's not good. And I don't know what Self is going to do. But I do know this. Don't count Kansas out. Because when Roy Williams had Kansas, and when they were ranked somewhere in the middle of the polls, and they weren't ranked number 1, and they didn't have that top seed, that's when Kansas was most dangerous. But if Kansas came in a 2 or 3 seed, you can beat them. But when they get that chip on their shoulder from being rated so low, then they become a dangerous team. And Self, he's a great coach, and I think the same kind of thing can happen if they get a good run going on in the NCAA tournament. So keep an eye on Kansas moving forward. All right, let me wrap this up. JC says Rodgers is available after New York cut him. Doesn't know if any teams will give him a shot. Somebody's going to give him a shot. The question is, would he be willing to come off the bench as a backup? With his ego, I'd probably say no. But, it don't take but one play for a guy to get on the field anyway. So I don't think you've seen the last of Aaron Rodgers. Even if he doesn't sign right away, some quarterback gets hurt during the season, he might just get a call. So keep an eye on that. So let me check this vote here. Is Duke the best team in college basketball? 33% says yes. I don't know, but I know one thing. You better find somebody to control that guy Flag. If you don't, they're already the highest scoring team in the NCAA. And if they're able to get on track offensively, Duke's going to be hard to beat. And I think the problem with basketball is you can foul the best players out of the game or get them in foul trouble. And that changes the whole dynamic of games. Football, you can't do that. But basketball, best players can wind up out of the game. But I don't think Flag is that bad. Yeah, Rodgers will play until the wheels fall off. And you've been a fan of Houston defensive-minded program. Yeah, but, when they came out and made the playoffs, you're talking about the Texans. They kind of slowed down this year because people kind of caught up to them. And I think the same thing is going to happen as they move forward. But I think that it's time for somebody to dethrone Kansas City. And I don't think it's going to be Buffalo or Baltimore. It's going to be somebody else. Oh, college basketball. Yeah, they're a pretty good team. But I don't know if they can deal with that Cooper Flag. Now, if you got a good guard and you got a low post presence, then you're problematic. I don't care who you play against. So if all they got is that one player, Flag, and they have a bunch of guys that can score, this guy Malik Brown will come into play then when they play against more athletic teams. But you won't see that until you get deeper into the tournament. So if Houston can make it to the Final Four along with Duke, that would be a great matchup to see. But we will keep an eye on that one, man. Okay. So anyway, like I say, I didn't have a whole lot to talk about, but the question is, will that Malik Brown injury hurt Duke moving forward the same way that the injury hurt Virginia when they were ranked number 1? That pretty much derailed their opportunity. They came back the next year and won it all, but they had a chance to win it that year. And you don't know what's going to happen moving forward. You need to take care of the opportunities that you have now. And that was a bitter pill to swallow when you lose your best players at the wrong time. Happens every year in sports at some level. It's just part of it. But to deal with it, and especially you've been trying to build, and then you get to that point and something like that happens, you feel like you're never going to get to the top of the mountain. But that's why you got to play the game because you never know when things are going to switch around in your favor. So, but anyway, this is Coach O, Sports Bike. You guys like and subscribe. That would be great. Share it would be even greater. I'm going to run I got this team I'm trying to get off the ground, and we're going to do a fundraiser coming up probably next week, and I'll fill you guys with the details on that. But if you were to participate in any fundraisers, it can be transparent and it'd be legitimate, so it wouldn't be like I'm just trying to get a few dollars just to for the sake of trying to get a few dollars. But no, anything that you donate would be all above board and be up front, so you'll know what we're trying to get. But I'll get more details on that the next week. But I appreciate you guys chiming in with me. Yeah, we'll see if Duke got resilience. But I think if you can't defend that flag guy and to get all those other parts hitting those shots like they've been doing, playing great defense, Duke's going to be hard to beat. And I don't like Duke, never did, but you got to give them their credit. Right now, they're playing pretty good basketball. And Auburn or Alabama or a Houston, those are all great matchups that could unfold as we get closer to the NCAA tournament. That'd be great to see. So until then, we'll just talk about it, and hopefully we can get the best matchups. One thing about basketball, you can't duck anybody. Eventually, you keep winning, you're going to run into somebody, and you're going to have to beat them. Not none of this pick a team and go to the championship and hope you get selected. No, you got to play your way into the tournament, play your way through the tournament, and the best team is going to win most of the time. So until then, wherever you are in the world, have a great day. That little horn to let you know that it's time for me. I got to get out of here, man. I got to go to work. So you guys have a great day, and I catch you guys in the morning on the next Sports Bike with Coach Hall. I'm out.